I grew up really enamored with the Arthurian legend. I had an Excalibur that I carved out of wood. Got a big log like this, and for hours and hours and hours, endlessly as a child, I carved a sword. My first obsession with film came from my love of John Borman's Excalibur. It was one of the really important films of my youth, and I watched those films over and over when I was about 6 or 7. I was sort of studying them. It was really instrumental for me in crystallizing this dream that I had of becoming an actor. To be now on set and Londinium actually playing King Arthur myself is pretty wild.
Action!
He's a professional, he's technically a very good actor. Charlie and I understood what we wanted King Arthur to be.
For me, anytime you can do anything that limits the amount of acting required, you know, you're freezing cold, you're sort of angry, it creates a vibe.
Yeah, come on, let's do one more. Just get the boys in. Charlie wants one more pass. Here we go, rolling. Elegantly done, Charlie.
He has such a likable quality about him and such a regal appeal. You know, he goes from man of the people and the start of the movie into the born king.
He's got a charisma and an authority and a level of professionalism. One which I suppose is fairly obvious why he's a film star.
He's got the looks, he's got the charm. Charlie's got swag.
You know, there's always a lot of talk about my walk. I mean, you know, I got a big walk.
Still a duck on the wall.
A lot of people think this is really funny. They say, you just love to walk big because you think you're a gangster. It's not that at all. Practice walking, no problem. I do. It's the bane of my life. One of my legs is 16 millimeters shorter than the other, so it gives me a bit of a sloping gait. That'll give you a you know, it comes off as just being, you know, being gangster, so that's okay.
It's the old flat tire, really, isn't it? Yeah, really.
Guy and I have first and foremost become really good friends, and sort of second to that is the creative relationship that we have.
People always say it starts at the top, you know. If your top people are good, then that spreads down. Everyone gets on so well and everyone's always in a good mood, and that starts at the top really with Guy and Charlie.
Slightly cooler version of that. Nice. Keep your chin up and do the same thing. When you're ready, spin Charlie round.
So this is so much of who Guy is, and you'll see that in this film in one way or another. There was a moment where I looked at Charlie, I looked at Guy, and they were starting to look a little similar. They had the same sort of beard and the hair thing going on, and I was like, oh my goodness, they're morphing into the same person.
It's been an incredible experience working with Guy, making decisions in real time, deciding something's not working, and immediately coming up with a solution that's better.
Charlie, on the first bit, try one dry.
He took me aside and said to me, if you want one more take, you don't ask for permission for one more take. You say, we're going again from the beginning. And it made me think, you know, you're absolutely right. Like, don't compromise for any
And you know I pay my debts.
Good. One more from the top.
Mother. This is the last. Tell him it's the last you want.
Where's the off?
Trust the block. It's such a hard block. For a stunt coordinator, Charlie Hunnam is probably one of the most dream of a guy that you could ever want to do a stunt film with.
Must be losing the map behind you, yeah?
Yeah, f it. What's the worst that can happen? Maybe for the last piece, we could have a bit of time, just do some push-ups and some shit beforehand.
Okay.
So you actually can see my heart go.
I like that.
I'll shout for Charlie to stand up. Charlie will stand up when he's in frame, and then he's just going to go mad. Do 20 more, Charlie. Get down to 20 more. 40-minute take, mate.
I think it was longer.
It might be.
We've spent days in front of green screens with him and Martin, being pulled, being dragged upside down. Charlie kind of, he's totally up for doing it all, and he, totally wants to do it all.
Just hanging from my scrotum here, people. No rush at all.
Quite impressed with Charlie's attitude towards things. We looked out to see Charlie swimming around in the 4-degree splosh that was in front of us.
Ivan and I jumped into the freezing cold lake, and that became a tradition. Every morning we got up at 5:30 a.m. and did the plunge of death. I got 3.
And then you run out again.
It's just cold.
It's, what, day 4?
Day 4. That's the type of stuff you do with your best pals if you were on holiday together. And to marry that vibe into work was very productive.
Are we gonna work out or no?
We don't really have much time to train. We're on set for 14, 15 hours a day.
Go on, Charlie. Go on, son.
So, we've got to stay fit for the job.
It's funny to think this is my job.
There was a lot of set Olympics going on, a lot of pull-ups and rope climbing and push-ups.
All right. Fucking hell. That was good, cheeky 50.
Please don't say that's recorded. Every so often between takes we're doing some chin-ups. He's got his bench press there, so every so often doing some squats, bench pressing, a lot of chin-ups, which has been really fun.
No, I'm not going to do them, because I don't want to embarrass everybody by doing 50. Did you used to dehydrate a bit on the days when your shirt was off? No, you didn't. Don't do any of that business.
Charlie, very, very easy to look after. He looks really good.
He's very, very gorgeous.
Have you ever been fat? I got fat. A couple of times.
Your definition of fat is not being ripped.
That's right.
They made me take my shirt off next to him to clean myself down one night. What a humiliating experience that was.
So I'd be morbidly obese in your language.
Just slightly.
I see the cameras out.
Guy's been a great mentor. Gave me a couple of pieces of advice while we were working, based on a very astute observation.
I'm boxing clever here.
Are you?
Yeah, I don't want to be known for your actors. Right, so you want to be known for Charlie the actor?
Yeah.
As a side note.
On top of that!
On the heels. Yeah, but it can't be abs first. No. Charlie second.
I love him.
Well, he's got vicious abs. Sparked a little bit of ego in me.
Guy's very, very strong.
Up it goes!
I don't know how his stamina is.
Me, see you later.
Although I'm sure, he's a pretty formidable unit. I think he's not to be taken lightly. But he definitely can't do a muscle-up. However dominant he feels when we're doing bench press, it all evaporates when we get on the pull-up bar. And that really is what separates the men from the boys at the end of the day.
It's a hell of a lot on your shoulders. It's one of those roles beyond human, whilst also being self-deprecating, funny, approachable, accessible. I mean, really, for a man as ugly as he is, it's quite incredible that he's attained this status.
Charlie's got presence. He's got everything you need to play a bad boy from the medieval times.
Charlie's immensely likable. He's an extremely talented actor. He's in impossibly good shape for this movie. He looks like he is King Arthur, looks like he's a warrior.
It's been great to be around him and just watch him lead in a massive Hollywood movie with such ease.
He's generally a very decent, kind, thoughtful, talented human being who, I liked at the beginning, but I love at the end.
It's good being the king.
It's hard to pinpoint the time that you first encountered the story. Was this famous king real? Was he not? There are obviously historians who believe he might have been.
You are addressing England.
Most kids globally have a sense of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table and the sort of democracy of that. It's one of those legends that you just seem to know.
I did very much love the way that story was told. It was quite surreal, quite magical.
King Arthur's really a story about every man that can transcend his limited small self as that of a victim to that of a king.
It's the story of Arthur gathering a group of the best and boldest knights in the land and to go on this incredible fantasy, action-driven adventure.
As an Englishman of a certain age, it's part of your culture. We all grew up with King Arthur, we all grew up reading the stories or having them read to us as kids. We all saw Excalibur, so it's just part of a generation.
One of the first books I had as a child was a picture book of King Arthur. I think that's probably true of most kids in England.
What you doing, boy?
He's coming back.
Who's coming back?
The Born King.
Especially as English, we hold the Arthurian legend very, very dear.
The Arthurian legend has been bent to many different people's will over the years, you know, before filmmakers even, writers and towns and villages up and down the country that claim to have a little bit of it.
It is this amorphous and ever kind of evolving myth of a great king.
What I find so interesting about it is there's no particular one that's correct. For a storyteller or for a director or for actors, it's like you can get away with your own interpretation. The whole process becomes quite interesting because if you have a nugget of information, you can add something.
You know, there's many versions of the King Arthur story traditionally told, but none of them have been told through the lens of Guy.
We're fans of the fairy tales that we were read as kids, stories of dragons, stories of magic swords, stories of wizards and witches, the excitement and the action and battles. And we very much wanted to do our modern version of that.
Guy has a great love for the class structure, for folklore. It's that kind of curiosity that fuels and links, in a way, his early work to this.
I've been thinking about a version of King Arthur for almost as long as I can remember. This genre is a genre that I can recognise the challenges that people walk into, and people have made some noble efforts. You know, we've all seen numerous examples.
I always would have just thought of King Arthur as quite a straight kind of posh hero.
There's only one of me. I haven't had a fight for years.
And the King Arthur that Charlie and Guy are doing is the opposite to that.
Guy and I both were eager to avoid this sort of noble soul looking for a cause. The noble, righteous band of knights gallivanting around the countryside, selflessly fighting for those that are in need is interesting, but we've also seen that a million times before. So I think it's really smart that they did something a bit different.
3 or 4 years ago, I was beavering away on the Arthurian legend, and then this one came along, and it had 300-foot elephants in it, and it was conspicuous about the fantasy element, and that's what changed everything.
I've known Guy for a long time and was intrigued to see what his take on this world would be, so I was quite surprised actually in terms of the level of fantasy and just how far you could take some of these ideas, and found it really entertaining.
Obviously I'm a filmmaker, so I'm drawn to things that lend themselves to some visualisation. I suppose like the same way as in Sherlock, I thought I could do a job with this. I wasn't sure what I could do with it, and I was outside of my comfort zone.
It was just a moment. I know, I'm not buying it.
It's sort of the classic hero's journey, right? Sort of the call to duty and then the reluctance to accept the call. Mentor figure comes in and says, you really have to do this. Acceptance of call and then action. We are adhering to those archetypes, but Guy messes it up a little bit. It sprinkles a liberal dose of what he likes to call the f*** dust. So you make it a little less noble, a little more grimy, and a little more selfish.
Why did you say you're not attracted to the hero shot?
Because it's a cliche and not in a good way. Things we're trying not to do with Charlie is turn him into a hero. They're superhuman. I'm not interested in that. It just doesn't speak to me. You want something that feels human so you can relate to it.
You're gonna miss me.
We want to try and avoid any sense of nobility, the idea that people are really just doing it for the greater good. That does become very boring and very earnest and not fully human. There are always ulterior motives, selfish motives, not just about the greater good. My hero might get to that point in some way or another, but it's not really about that.
There is no definitive way to make a film. Which is the interesting thing about filmmaking.
Action!
I think filmmaking is about having a point of view. It feels to me that she needs to have the last word. It's not a right point of view, it's not a wrong point of view, but it's a point of view. We are 2 weeks into this one. We've committed to a version, which I think is important. Commit to what it is that you think will work. I think what we have to always do is when we're doing something, be clear about the fact we're doing this not just a mess.
We had to find a visual language that fitted the story, that Guy believed in.
I've got to feel confident
Yeah, no, I know.
that look
I know.
will work.
Yeah.
We're not going to get away with that.
I did some pretty bold strokes to start with, I have to say, but they were a bit too far.
We lose contemporary boots. We have to lose everything that's contemporary.
Okay.
And I would just, for the sake of things, start doing some more traditional stuff. You know?
Guy likes to have input.
I mean, I think it's going to have to be an amalgam of later centuries combined with something else.
He has a particular way of looking at men.
You sort of want a bit of that attitude, though, don't you?
Vortigern has taken the vestiges of the Roman, but I want this kind of reptilian insect-like articulation.
That sounds like you're in the business.
It's probably to do with his personal style, but definitely his view of the world and masculinity and how men dress. We'll keep the white coat and the more civilian look underneath when he goes in.
I love the white coat.
It's his signature, isn't it?
Yeah, I like it.
Is there an excuse for him having some more like that on when Arthur comes to see him right at the very end? But that means he'd be in that kind of gear when he's killing Catty, which might be a bit much. It's more that one, isn't it? I like that look for
That white robe is rather cool. Might have to get myself one of those.
I mean, I can't do this without Max, the first AD. Max, he and I have a shorthand with one another. It makes my life 100 times easier.
So you'd have to have this off, the helmet off.
Yeah.
For that to operate.
Yeah.
Can I take that off?
Yeah.
So you could just have.
Yeah. I mean,
They're rather good with like that.
I'll tell you what, they're not bad, are they?
Yeah.
I think Max should try them.
Pretty good. And there you go.
you need. We pinched it in to make it look meaner. Yeah. And we've been talking a lot with Eunice about, visibility and how, and all our stunt guys are going to have made-to-measure ones. After a certain point, I say, which do you like? And the guy says, I don't know, which do you like? I say, that one. He said, do that one then, and we fell into a rhythm with each other.
I like the old striped leather.
The baldric.
The cross,
at
least you notice it now. Anyone just happens to have a pair of shears on them right now, they could cut that evenly.
As we've gone through the process of making the film, the layers have built up, the stew has thickened, if you like, so it feels credible as a world. I think that's quite an achievement. It's a sort of team effort combination of the great work of our production designer.
We create the circle up here.
So what will we do then?
Two other options.
Well, we get out the old chainsaw and have a little...
Yes, what you do is you come at it from this sort of angle up the hill, and the moment we've marked up some trees there that we were going to cut down...
This needs a bit of contrast, this place. We need some smoke.
We went to really sort of four corners of the UK. We found the best that this country could offer.
Let's spread our team out, Max. Does everyone get in a circle or hold hands? What do you think, John? Does this feel about a nice size? I like the idea that trees have grown up in it.
It's quite big to photograph, but...
Okay. So that, and what do we do with your mate there?
Well, we could do these three if you got.
I like these three.
All right.
Come here. There.
Yeah.
That's kind of our circle.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're filming, bizarrely, in King Arthur's cave. So the Arthurian legend continues.
Let's have a quick look at the cave.
How's Staples doing? It's called King Arthur's Cave, by the way.
You're kidding?
No, it's called King Arthur's Cave.
But why is it famous?
No, just because this kind of cave setup is fairly unusual.
This is 10,000-year-old excavation. I'm not. So actually what we're standing on...
Real people.
Real people.
I quite fancy a version of it being obscured.
Like an ivy curtain.
It's like an ivy curtain.
You have a guy tucked up there, and a guy tucked up there who keep an eye and keep the tunnel going. I think maybe they have a rope so they can just run it back and then let it drop down again.
Yeah.
Luther and the mob are up here. You put your archers in a line across the ridge line.
I don't think Guy has ever seen the view of the burial grounds until the day we shot it, because it had been covered in fog and mist.
That's the idea. Right. Oh, it's all clear now. But you're going to have some idea of perspective.
Yeah, of course.
This I get.
Yeah.
But just as long as the arrows do.
Yeah, you want a nice arc.
You want a nice arc. Can anyone think of a more clever way of lighting these up?
No, I think that's the elegant way. This feels a bit aggressive.
I know that.
More elegant.
I know, but do we light arrows? Only because I've seen a lot of arrows lighting a lot of fires.
Well, you can just have men out there with torches if you want.
Not very dramatic though.
No.
Some sort of cannon, fireball.
That's special effects. Just roast the whole valley.
Helicopter gunship dropping on the valley.
Well, arrows it is then. If you can cheat the perspective, we just need to be able to feel that it has been a right old whack. I quite fancy having your bowman up there. It's quite nice having sort of 30 bowmen up on the top. So here's your geezers here. You're looking at.
You could have a captain standing behind you for signalling,
yeah.
and then you're up,
then
your bowmen fire, and then you can do that.
Yeah.
And that way you could bring them closer if you wanted to fire.
Yeah, I quite like that.
Loose, but don't really loose.
This wall feels like it should probably be over here, and that's a sort of marketplace down there. Yeah. You know, so the wall to the...
Yeah.
Because then I'm imagining if the wall's there, the arrow that is probably going to hit some geezer over here.
It is certainly true that the process of making films with this particular team poses challenges to people like me every day, and that's one of the reasons I like to do it, to be honest.
Like, you're going in the right direction there, but I would make that a bit more interesting somehow, give it some shape and a raised platform at the back, and maybe maybe it needs to be twice the size.
A boat that you want, of the size you want, which we can put on a lock, which is very big, which we probably can't make in Croatia, would have to make over here, which would take the 15,000 up to 40,000, I mean, a lot of money. Or we build it as a set, either there or in the, in the stage or wherever, and we construct the CG elements for the wide shot.
I'll talk to Nick after this as well, and we'll talk about whether we want to do it green screen.
Do you know what? It can just afford to be a more fun boat. I've got to say, you're not far off it on this one then, the size that I'm after.
But that's what I mean about looking at the budget as a whole, because then you can make something like that and actually could be significant savings elsewhere, which we hadn't even.
3, 2, 1.
But I reckon 50% of that, or 100%.
Half of that.
How long does it take to reload?
About 4 minutes.
The gang. Right, here we go. Towards the first position. Just slack your knee. 1, bang!
Yeah, the white snap.
Lovely, cut it. Bang! Bang!
You got one little spot.
You reckon I'll make it to the bank? I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say it's going to hit the bank.
Alright, so you just give it a good yank whenever you want.
How good a yank?
Would you like just to release this bar here?
Oh, this is fun.
Set on the nose now.
Oh, but you can really turn it into an absolute monster.
Oh yeah, I mean, we might be able to hit the road.
Oh, really? Guy, to me, always seems to be a director who wants to root it all in some kind of sense.
What Guy has done is said, no, 85% of this film is about character and storytelling, and then we're going to just sprinkle some magic on top.
The alibi for having this magical is pretty consistent and authentic to the Arthurian legend.
That's more life.
Yeah,
it's going in all directions, isn't it?
Well, that's sort of the speed of that. The speed of that made it look sexy time. In real time, no sexy. Or did you put more puff in there?
No, that is speeded up. So yeah, you're right. On real time, it doesn't look as good.
You stick more. See, look at that. That looks quite sexy.
Because you've got those like lines coming out of it.
Yeah.
What sort of colour is it?
Oh, that's quite good, isn't it? Slow mo. It's definitely in slow mo.
Is it that kind of colour? For danger. Red for danger. No, I'm only saying it because
No, I know.
they use yellow in.
All right,
Mad Max,
I quite like black for some reason. What's this for?
The alarm, when the alarm goes off in London, they fire these fireworks.
They go, it's really...
So this is the latest on, this is the first one, this is Meeting the Sirens.
That's quite nice. That's quite nice. Yeah, see that, the more disgusting it is and the more ambiguous it is.
That's what we're trying to do.
The better it is.
What is that? It's in the last second.
And I wouldn't keep her completely stranded. Her stranded hair is lovely. I mean, she's certainly taking on the best incarnation that she's had.
Yeah. And I feel pretty good we can make her into a pretty sort of gross, interesting, fun character.
All that stroking the hair is lovely.
Mm-hmm.
You think she's stroking her own hair and then all of a sudden it turns out that she's not. That's fun.
Yeah.
It's a good reveal.
Yeah.
We've tried to give you a world that a modern audience can relate to, not only in the filmmaking style, which is dynamic, action-packed and fun, but also in terms of the locations that we've created.
To be on a film set in the UK with this kind of a build, with 600 people on set, with 100 horses, it's exhilarating to be a part of.
All areas of the crew, I've been so overwhelmed by their talent and their passion. The scale and the scope of it all, it's breathtaking.
Guy has passion for the historical culture that have come together to form what we see as Great Britain today.
I love it here. Well, there's a strong connection with Wales and the Arthur legend. And for years, I've been thinking I'll be coming back here to shoot Arthur.
The landscape of Wales was sort of an extension of these incredible sets. You can't help but be affected when you're in a really gorgeous environment like that.
I need 30 seconds of race.
You're gonna miss me.
That's a f***ing disaster then. That's the whole coat used up.
Yeah, I know what it is.
What happened?
The hilt got caught inside your hood.
Oh.
Well, just go for a quick rejiggle. Slip down there and a little bit of a wriggle jiggle. Wes knows exactly what he's doing.
The whole thing is about flexibility.
No. Swell him up. I can't read that.
Taking him off
That just looks like a geezer and squinting. How long is it going to take?
2 minutes.
Let's do it.
It's that ability to just go, what is the purpose of what it is that we're doing? Forget everything else that you brought before. What's the most efficient way that you believe to illustrate whatever it is that you're trying to demonstrate?
Stone or bowl?
Both.
Do you like choosing?
Thank you. That's the spirit. That's it. It's after it's had you, look back at the camera again. Forgive me for going too fast. Right. Who are you to bless me? Then you're slowly walking me out. I think it's one of those. By the time I finish with you, you'll have all your geezer points back.
I think it might get a bit fun today.
Let's send the little man up.
I'm sorry.
Why?
If I'm fighting against two guys, they are gonna help me. They will know not to charge too hard if I'm very close to someone's sword. I'll make it work.
I didn't know sword fighting at all, other than when I was a kid and used to fight with my big brother in the backyard. It's great to get out of bed and spend the day learning new skills and new talents as part of one's job.
I've done quite a bit of sword work before. There's a bunch of core moves and basic choreography when it comes to sword play that the rules apply no matter what you're doing, and luckily for me I've had that in the past, so it really came in handy. The choreography quite often changes on the day, so you can't learn it like a dance and be rigid about it. You have to be able to change within the set choreography.
How do you feel this way?
Nice and shoulder, nice and shoulder.
That's absolutely. Come in with a blank canvas, Mikey, our fight coordinator, goes through fights with us, then lets us elaborate on them. Just give them a tap. You know, you get into costume, you get into character, you build yourself up. Once that happens, all hell breaks loose. We just go for it. Normally down to what the director wants. He might want fancy stuff. Like sticking that guy, you're taking on the left, yeah? You know, like martial arts style, he might want something a bit more gritty and raw. Just go, boom, belly slides, done. On the way through, it's just nice and quick, mate. Cheers. And then it just comes down to performance, being able to do it on the day, you know, bring loads of energy, make it dynamic, that kind of thing. Elbow, break the spear.
Oh, Mikey, oh, Northern Mikey. He's probably one of the best, you know, stuntmen instructors in the world. So, you know, I'm in good hands. I couldn't really get it wrong.
You just make it seamlessly go in. Okay, that's okay, good.
I've had about 3 or 4 good long hour sessions with Mike, and by the end of it, I could cut off a button with a samurai sword, you know, from 10 paces. You know, I feel very equipped to go into battle, shall we say. I'll give you a bit of knife fighting.
I saw him doing one with Jaimin where Jaimin was like taking out 18 dudes and it just looked like so much fun. Jaimin just kind of stood there and watched. Was like, yeah, we'll do that on the day. You know, he's done it before.
I just tell him to give me directions the day of and we execute.
You see Jaimin smacking people with that sword. You wouldn't want to be on the end of that.
Okay, good.
Having the confidence that comes with doing a lot of fight training, it does give one a certain spring in the step and glint in the eye.
Today we are doing a bit of a sword fight. We've got a couple of fancy little techniques in there, which just make it a little bit more advanced than the basic barroom roll. When we do that last bit, you can always cheat away from the table. Charlie steps more here, then you're well away from the table, you're not going to get caught up flat. Just flow, no fast Aiden, and action please slowly with a bit of flow.
It's always nice to get to do something on a job, you know, it's like you learn something along the way.
If you've got an actor who's pretty physically capable, then they should be able to pull it out of the bag on the day.
Big Hollywood production. Look at the state of this. No glamour. We're in a warehouse.
Is this why you left England in the first place?
Yeah, right. I went, you know, look, I just watched these. These were brand new trailers.
Production is going to have to provide you with new kit.
Charge them, I'm invoicing.
Movie fighting, you want to try and make it look cool. You know, that's the main thing, looking good. And also big exaggerated movements, you know, making stuff more explosive, more dynamic, that kind of thing, yeah.
When you hear Mike saying, turn it on, the little acting skill that we have goes into aggression.
Bring it, just bring the pain, bring all that good stuff, okay?
It's like being on a really great sports team. We all want to get the best out of each other, whatever our part, whatever our, you know, role in the particular scene.
It helps to be quite creative and it helps you to be at ease with it.
I spent a lot of time just doing fight training. It wasn't as much for the physical effect as the confidence that comes with throwing 1,000 punches a day.
Morning, Kuzal. Cheers.
Should we discuss what you've come up with? You do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I was always fascinated by the idea of Roman London. Very few people know that London was Londinium and that it was a thriving Roman city.
I mean, that's the right sort of idea, but all of this should feel slightly more submerged.
More submerged,
Yeah.
okay.
And I like that.
That's up for grabs as to how we...
It's up for grabs.
Right.
If there's any more decisions you need made about
What do you need from Guy?
sets and stuff,
First few months were just like drawing, working with concept artists, concepting, and we kept showing him things.
We could have boxed it out and built something there, but there is this.
We got more and more away from literal Roman London.
Yeah, and it sort of needs a bit more shape to it. From your point of view, you'd like it. I see what you mean.
The sets aren't fantastical in any way, or fantasy. There's a kind of form of reality. We're building this world that the audience has to accept, and they have to accept that in this world come 300-foot elephants. You know, it's all completely feasible.
It's been an ongoing process, definitely. I mean, even up until a couple of months ago, when the model was taken over about 6 months to be constructed, we're still changing. Changes that have happened to the actual drawings, plans and elevations, and revamps that we've needed to do. We have to kind of incorporate those onto the model when they get issued. So it's taking buildings out, repairing them, doing them up and putting them back in.
Forget period. I mean, don't forget period completely, I'm with you, but I just think we can afford a bit of imagination on it.
Yeah. I had a vast art department because I had to. I had 8 art directors, all of whom had a huge chunk of work to do of their own. Each of the art directors head up a different set, and then they have a team. So there's like an art director, maybe an assistant art director, drafts people on each team. I called them the town planning department. Drawn up everything really here, and worked out all the logistics and all the kind of minutiae. When I'm running around like a blue-ass fly, they're working out things really beautifully.
You've got a great team, they can adapt to anything really. And that's what's so exciting about filmmaking, because you never know what's around the next corner.
Is it just a question of, we've already got the idea, and we just need to execute it?
While we're standing here, we're just going to look at generally what's in this area here.
This whole Londinium set was one of the ones that we really started on to kind of get in the mood, and seemed to hit pretty fast, kind of what he wanted.
Meeting with the Dan clan. Can be anywhere around here, guys.
Can I give you some ideas as well? Because otherwise you might
go
not know the gorgeous things. Over there's that quite nice little bridge area there with the little balcony, and there's a door there that goes down. It's quite a good area where you could talk to somebody up there.
Okay, we should go for a good old... When do you want to go for a mince up there?
Would you want to have a wander now?
Let's go and have a mince.
Have a wander. We'll just wander everywhere and we'll try and pick time to do stuff.
I think they need another slide down. Should you Tom?
Yes, we'll have that. That's what just gone up.
Okay, goody.
And then that matches what you had on the stage.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I like those, Gemma. That's wicked. I can see them in the lobby.
Here, where you can see all that timber, that is all going to get covered in old timber. This here is where the boat will come in with Vortigern on it, and he's going to be nearly shot.
And this is the moment they know at some point he's going to get out of there and climb up and get into his carriage. And there's a perfect shot from this warehouse right here where you can shoot him. And we filmmakers have got all of this, and it's all in camera.
The temple behind me is a piece that we've managed to design loads and loads of things, and we just wanted to have some vestige of something really kind of purely Roman and of there. And as you can see, it's very sort of fragile, but I really like that quality about it. And so this is sort of the end of town here, really. At one point, there was a fight hall, and that's changed as well, so we're having to reconfigure that a bit. And then this is where George lived, but now is a safe house.
The safe house scene that happens late on in the film was an amazing room, sort of rickety old wooden cabin almost.
There's nice alleyways, look up the side.
Oh, I love an alleyway.
But the long one is really great. You know the one we did at the end?
Well, I'm having a lot of fun all of a sudden.
So this is the bathhouse, and this is really an old ruin in here. There's going to be a mosaic in here, definitely. I don't know why people don't do it. Oh, I think it's lovely to put mosaics with images and things. No, classy.
Can you do a classy one?
Yes, of course you can.
Quite like you for that.
This morning when I was walking through the set, I was admiring the graffiti on the walls. They're quite intricate designs. You could get very close with the camera on any of these sets, even in these little alleyways, and you could walk up to the farthest corner of that alleyway and look at some little detail. Everywhere is ready to have a camera pointed at it, like from 6 inches away.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's genius.
So we're going to do lots more of this.
Yeah, I love that.
But obviously we've got to do some of the wet hand stuff. We opened this up.
Great wall. Great wall.
Nice, isn't it? The graffiti around here.
Yeah, I love the graffiti. I love it.
We've got to do the one that...
You should show me those images because I quite like images. So if you, it's a couple of cool images you give me, and then I'll do stuff. Yeah, show me them before you dob them up.
Yep.
I like them.
Good.
I mean, there's stuff the audience would never see in a million years, and it's just all been covered meticulously.
You don't have to imagine you're in this castle, you know, it's not, we're not up against a green screen or in a white room, you're in this massive set.
To walk into an environment and, you know, see Camelot and see Londinium and be on these vast sets with 300 extras, but you really believe you're there, and it makes your job so much easier.
Where'd you come from?
I fell out of a tree.
Yes, mate. All of a sudden the film's getting big. It's about time. It's like a tiny little film.
That's big.
That's it. Could even take you to that brothel. We're heading in that direction. I don't know if they're open for business.
Yeah, we were in the brothel space for a while. That was amazing. Sort of depth of that was incredible.
We decided not to go too obviously kind of brothel-esque, so it's kind of plants and images, and it's just really kind of nice environment to be in and to operate in. We've got water. We still use a very classic kind of Italianate kind of setup here. But the whole of this room is painted kind of, and this is influenced by Pompeii, but it's got my take on it.
When I walked into the throne room, I was like, wow.
You want to stop, Max? Just do one more. Do one more.
We were trying to think of something that had some sense of steeped in history, magical beauty, kind of original.
Quite fun, this, isn't it? But this scale feels right. Don't it?
They've kind of amalgamated and come up with a world that's familiar, but also that you've probably never seen an interpretation of Camelot.
Pretty fab.
And actually, it was built for this rendition with the round table.
Beautiful gold strips of metal, and then that centerpiece is changed.
Oh, I love
Never seen anything like this.
it. I love it.
We decided that Arthur should be the person to introduce the round table rather than his father Uther, which was the original idea in the script. We think that's much better, will make him much stronger in terms of him as a character, in terms of defining him and his legacy.
I like it. What is it?
It's a table. You sit at it.
The born king will come. It is inevitable.
The hair comes forward and you drop it over the girls' heads. That's it. We might need a bit more hair.
This stage, this tank isn't really built for water, so we had to line it all, and we've had a few dramas, but we're okay.
This is the spot where the mages/sirens have been lurking. This is where all sorts of blood magic takes place. We changed this around actually when we first came down here. These columns were straight and we decided to get them slightly on the piss, which I thought gave it more of an ancient Rome feeling.
And 3, 2, 1, action!
Going in 10.
Stand by to go again.
We're recustomising this location into another cave after we've done this one, which is kind of an efficient way of spending our shekels.
And so now what we're doing is we're draining it out, and then we're going to do a huge makeover in here, and it's going to become the Oaks Caves. It's going to be, there will be a water feature in it, but it's going to be predominantly big, lovely caves with trees and, you know, dry and warm and sunlight coming in, and people are going to build structures to hang out on. And so that's what we're starting this afternoon, actually. Exactly. Over there, coming towards us. Your hand on that trunk needs to be almost up.
So Harry's holding it
And then these come down and the trunk goes up.
Yeah.
That's lovely. And then, oh yeah.
like that. Yeah, pretty good.
It was almost like a refugee camp that has taken form inside a cave. You have possibly a few hundred people that have all taken whatever they can and scavenged and actually trying to make it a home.
But what we are interested in is what you can do with this sword.
Trigger, I think we got one here.
Bouncing on my knee. Where'd you think I want ya? Hands on the hilt, stupid.
This is the entrance from the castle. So the idea is the castle's up there. It was originally used, this stonework was from Tarzan. And so we've done a lot of painting on it and we've completely refashioned it and changed the whole thing. So now it's Camelot's harbour.
We are going to revamp it to the low water harbour. The water goes down and there's a big rock with a sword sticking out of it.
Everyone comes to me though, and they talk about how these sets on film look, pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
How great is that behind us? That's much better shot, chaps, isn't it? You can really see London there.
I've got to tell you, this is brilliant.
Good, thank you.
It really is.
Very much. Team.
This was just a car park, so to build all of this and then plant trees and raspberry bushes and tufts of grass and then water it and plant it in time for us to be actually here shooting, pretty exceptional, extraordinary stuff.
It's easy to forget just how many people, work on a film of this size and doing everything within the Warner Brothers lot pretty much. It's really unique and getting to see just how much land they have here and the use of that.
To see the scale of it out on the backlot is amazing. Yeah, it really is, compared to the model and the size that we can fit it on a couple of tables over there. Here on the drawing board as well as drawing everything up and actually taking part down on set as well, because I've been standing by with the second unit. So actually to draw up, make the models, be involved in the pre-production and be there to stand by with the film unit when they're actually filming it physically on the set.
Guy has created this 6th century Londinium to be now on set, and Londinium actually playing King Arthur myself is pretty wild.
It's been quite a pleasurable job.
Yeah, it's got a really good energy around it, and kind of, as I said, because they're not aggressive and they change their minds, kind of do it with great charm and great enjoyment. And you go to rushes and stuff, and Guy's always the first to say, "I love it, looks great" or something, which is it goes a hell of a long way when you're working very hard and it's freezing cold outside sometimes and it's raining and you're really sorry for yourself. And he's so appreciative.
Great to work on sets this big. That's always wonderful. There's not an excessive amount of CGI. And there's not an excessive amount of location work. It's been like massive builds and wonderful, detailed sets.
They really are the best sets any of us have ever seen. We comment on it constantly.
I don't like it. I want you to start again. I'm afraid I'm one of those people that thinks that you can do most people's jobs better than they can do it. And in Gemma's case, I don't think that's the case.
Things to go through.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the scene.
We don't even know what that scene is yet.
Do you want dogs in the scene? Because we'd have to prep that to get them there, wouldn't we?
Well, not really, just hire a couple of dogs. Bring them out on the day or don't.
I mean, I quite fancy a Muttley coming round here and a bit of a whoa, whoa.
Guy Ritchie works in a completely different way to me. He's very organic, so on the day he likes to get in the scene and feel what the scene's like. I love the rawness of how he gets things, and he has a great manner in which to get the best out of actors that I haven't seen before in all the filmmaking I've done. So it's the block. It's such a hard block.
Eunice is one of the very best stunt coordinators in the world.
I'll tell you what, she's got good energy, good passion. She's fair with the team.
That's great.
It's like a good football manager, you know, you're getting the right people for the job, and she's good at doing that.
She's always great for a natter and a laugh. And then suddenly you see her go to work and it's like she's got engines in her shoes, you know, vroom, and off she goes.
Come on! I need a bit more athleticism from the guys in this section, okay? I've got to say, guys, that was my daughter's useless. We see we've done better than that. Action! Open! Yeah. The stunt performers we get, we have to be able to rely on it.
Eunice is keeping the guys in the loop, letting them know what's happening, about a rough idea of the geography, and then where the cameras are going to be.
Camera here. And what you should nominate who goes through the gap. If I was coming in here, I'd be in here. See how I can get through? Looking at you smoke, looking at each other. Now!
No!
We want our scenes to be very realistic and not just sort of a green screen version of it.
I think however much practice you do, it never quite prepares you for the height of it.
Got to make sure that the body position is tight on impact to the water or else you're going to die, basically. So Charlie, Freddie, the doubles jumping quite wide apart.
I'm rising to the challenge, I really am. Went up in the old cherry picker, getting higher, feeling more prepared, more ready. Charlie aces a perfect 10-pointer, but I'm feeling I can take it to 11. And for which the crowd went wild and gave me 12. So.
Out of that. Some adrenaline junkies would say it's an easy thing to do, but when you got to do it for camera and you got to do it in a certain way and you have to do it in costume and carrying weapons, and then it becomes more of a job. I can guarantee tomorrow they'll feel like they've been hit by a bus.
Today we are doing a bit of a sword fight. Got a couple of fancy little techniques in there, which just make it a little bit more advanced than the basic barroom brawl. Just flow, no fast Aiden, and action please.
Not that often. I let the fight choreographer carry on. This is the first time for me that I've worked with someone who I'm like, oh yeah, they fully deserve this credit, they've done a terrific job.
It's normally down to what the director wants. He might want fancy stuff. Like sticking that guy, you're taking on the left, yeah? You know, like martial arts style, he might want something a bit more gritty and raw. Just go, boom, shoot, belly side, it's done. On the way it's done, it's just nice and quick, mate. Cheers. And then it just comes down to performance, being able to do it on the day, you know, bring loads of energy, make it dynamic, that kind of thing. That's good challenge, that's nice, good. I mean, if you've got an actor who's pretty physically capable, then they should be able to pull it out of the bag on the day.
For a stunt coordinator, Charlie Hunnam is one of the most dream of a guy that you could ever want to do a stunt film with. There's nothing he can't do.
He's never moaned for a second during this project, and we've asked him to do some pretty tough stuff.
Action!
This has been the most physical film experience that I've ever had.
Action! Got it!
Oh, I hate my job sometimes.
I mean, I'm just trying to think naturally what it'd be. You'd see it, it'd be a bit of a, it'd be a gut reaction.
Yeah.
See it, bang.
I am a sort of stickler for setting things. I just like everyone to know what they're doing, so I get the best out of everyone. Be here. Elliot's there, be there. Bang!
Eunice is brilliant.
Cock and whamming him.
So much drive to just do it well.
I do like to sort of get in with the characters because whatever action I deliver, I do want it to be character related. I want to feel like you're going and that's the end of his day. You know you're going to rip his head off. You guys should be throwing Andy over the table then. You want to enjoy stabbing him through the heart. Don't let the energy drop, okay? Because this might be the take we always use, all right? It's been very busy, very hectic, but I'm very lucky to be in the job I'm in.
At the end of the day, my main thing is to please my boss. So hopefully if she's happy, director's happy, then that'll come back to me and I'll be happy.
I've been stunting probably for 21 years and I still don't feel like I've worked a day. Best job in the world.
You ready? 93 days, any predictions?
Do you know, I had no idea it was 93 days until you told me it was 93 days.
They're never going to be able to use any of this stuff because every other word is and you can't show can you?
This is the longest pre-production I've ever had on a film. So actually filming doesn't feel like the start of it. It's officially, this is day one.
Here we go. And action.
On that set on that first day, you could almost smell the hunger and the ambition.
And you want the film how big? Huge.
We started shooting this in January, and every single day I've looked forward to coming to work.
Every man for himself.
Actually, I didn't see myself as a skin trader, but we ran out of people to use. So guess what?
He looks bloody good.
2 eye patches, please, Alex.
Would you venture to give him any acting tips?
Are you crazy? I'd leave with less limbs than I arrived with.
He's the most difficult actor we've worked with so far.
He insists on the producer undressing him, you notice that?
I think Lionel and Guy really complement each other beautifully.
All lubed up and ready.
They're a good yin and yang for each other, you know, there's the softer, gentle and basso, you know, energy of Lionel. And then there's Guy who's energy and muscle and fireworks. It's a pretty potent combination.
We do have a shared sensibility. We made 4 movies together, so there's a certain shorthand there. We have complementary skills and concerns.
I love having a partner. He and I argue a lot.
You're ignoring Lionel's advice?
Don't I always ignore Lionel's advice?
He's not frightened to scold me. We're like a married couple.
Don't you try to slip your tongue in my ear again.
They're very sweet together. You know, they call each other love and darling.
I can't share my rock with you, love.
Okay, then.
They sort of bicker like they were lovers and make up.
All right, I'll arrange Lionel. Get on that rock.
No, I don't want to.
No, Guy, you go ahead.
In a very sweet and warm way.
I'm quite bored of this now. Can we go at the trailer?
It's very, very warm. It's 10 minutes. Oh, you
You know, Lionel articulates this really beautifully and is a huge advocate of having fun at work.
You're on these things for 2 years. Do you really not want to have fun on it?
You got big old feet. Don't want to say about big feet. Yeah, big socks.
This is our lives. This is what we spend all of our time doing. So let's embrace it and have the best time we can.
Check. You have an alarm.
Well,
I think that is.
it's all over, young man. Is it? Is it mate? Yeah.
Shachmat.
Shachmat?
Shachmat.
That's what it looks like to get beat by the boss. I haven't been home at all in 7 months. One must create a family wherever you can, and that's what we did here.
You're young, aren't you? I've been in a very fortunate position. All of my scenes are with the same group of guys, and that does give you time to bond.
Come in here, Neil.
Okay, come on. I'm on your lap.
Probably the best thing about this film has been meeting all the boys. It's a really tight group. Everyone gets on. We have a proper laugh every day.
Just to be part of Guy's gang, to be surrounded by good people, hard-working people, and that's nice.
It's been nice to have formed genuinely firm friendships. Would it cost a lot to call it a day?
First and foremost, become really good friends, and sort of second to that is the creative relationship that we have.
It's something I had to learn. You know, I'm used to taking responsibility for everything, and Guy likes to have input.
Annie? Yeah? Where are all your different outfits?
Over there, very close, yeah.
All right.
In my head, it was his coat for the whole of the time.
We're just f***ing allowed more than one jacket.
Or does the jacket become the uniform and you don't pay attention to it?
And that's
exactly
there's an opportunity to have a cool jacket.
What I'm trying to do is offer Guy a few options.
If someone's unsatisfied with what's been delivered, then you just go, well, sure, well, let me see what I can do.
The only option I can think of for today would be that Annie comes up with a completely different jacket.
Yeah. What I try to do is get working a wardrobe as possible so that all sleeves are detachable. Ultimately, you can end up with a variety for sort of changing story days, for the script changes. It's good to be able to do that.
He asks for suggestions and he's open to them, and if he likes what you come up with, goes in. Don't come up with a bad idea. He can be brutally dismissive.
I don't like what it's going to look like. Axe by 6 inches. These are takes 2 steps. That's the inherent problem, because it's too small.
And this has cost a fortune, this set. We couldn't have done anything bigger.
That's the scale of our movie. You want to be here, don't you? Then I can see your flaming ball of
Yeah. I think it's a good call, you know. Made the set a bit bigger, give ourselves a little bit more room. It just all felt a little bit cramped as we blocked it out. And no, I think it's a good, actually quite an easy, simple solution.
I know, I knew something was going to happen. I just knew. I was warning everybody to stand by and hang on.
This is really a collaborative medium. Just the process of going through a bunch of ideas gets you to a good idea.
Okay, let's break up the lines. Who wants them? I'll throw them down on the floor and let you grab them. I'll just... I can say them all.
Wales was spectacular. I just had the time of my life there.
Being on location is got to be the best bit because it kind of puts you straight into the situ and you really suddenly very much believe that you're really there. It all feels very dramatic.
You need to do some location work on these films. It does break it up a bit.
Whenever you're at a beautiful location, everybody's in a good mood, everybody's happy, everybody's, wow, look at this, and it is a real wonderful sort of communal experience.
It's hard to avoid the smile on your face in this place, right? I'm just so happy here.
And the weather has not been cruel to us.
It was probably the windiest I've ever had to deal with, and my costume being very beautiful is also like a giant sail. So all day today, you were being thrown around and pulled around. Wind would pick up and you'd fall over.
You're pairing with a tumultuous condition.
Through what?
Tumultuous.
A little bit rainy, isn't it? It's quite a big brolly you got there, isn't it?
I think we need a bigger one.
Shall I just hang out in my voiture?
Yeah.
Well, good then, carry on.
Every second of that period of time was close to 3 weeks, was all about the work. We were just out in this gorgeous place and with each other the whole time, and ideas would come up over dinner around the campfire at night and we'd talk about a scene. And that's been an amazing lesson working with Guy and Lionel, is that it also seems to be that the best work comes out the more fun you're having.
Nothing in it. Just air.
Is that what you're going to say about this? Nothing in it, darling. It's just air.
A bit unnecessary, isn't it? Lisa, I'm being picked on.
Have you finished those?
I just really felt like I was in a zone.
Good, Charlie. One of your finest performances, that, honestly. But I'm quite impressed with Charlie's attitude towards things. Bring the cameras down then, Maxwell. Get Charlie doing a swim. Fancy Charlie?
Yeah, I'm game for a laugh.
There's no fun, this, is it? He's too complicit. I adore Charlie Hunnam. He works very hard, and he's a very decent, thoughtful, talented human being. I love him.
Joy.
Ow! I love him. He's the best.
I just adore Guy, and he is by far and away the best person I've ever seen on set.
You're at your hero antics, I guess. What do you mean? What I get is, whoa, I'm not going over there. Turns round, sees what's going on, goes, just like it am. Like, oh, I've got to help. Oh, look, the poor.
Guy enjoys the distractions. He's always, playing about. I don't want to suggest it hasn't also been hard work, but we have laughed a lot, and Guy laughs a lot, yet you can feel when everything kicks into gear. There's a palpable sort of shift into work mode when he clicks in.
I don't really see this as the last day. I'm seeing this as a sort of, we'll just come back to sort of say goodbye to one another. After about 6.5 years, or however long this film took to make, we are done. So thank you very much.
I had a little bit of an experience of processing it and saying goodbye. This has been by far the best film experience that I've ever had.
That's been a good film, really good film.
We're at the end of the shoot, aren't we?
Allegedly.
It all starts sinking in, what the last 4 months have been.
I've had a fantastic time. What can I say? On to the next one.
I just adore all the chaps, and they're all fantastic at their job.
And the top chaps?
I love them all, and their game, and they're fun, and very good at what they do. And now I'm sort of all lost with myself. I'm in a whole sea of emotion.
I've had a blast. I hope that I've also had the most fun and also done the best work that I've ever done.
But that's the impossible challenge. How do you design the perfect Excalibur? I always wanted Excalibur to be quite subtle. I mean, we looked at a lot of Excaliburs that we've done over the years, and I'm quite familiar with them. And they always seem to be quite shiny and a bit blingy. And we wanted to go for something that was a lot more subtle and a bit more classy, I suppose.
I think you want to do one that's simpler.
Yeah. Kind of stripped down, bare bones sword kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it speaks to Guy's world that he chooses a sword that isn't covered in gold finery and flowers and lightning bolts.
I think it just needs generic with a twist, is what I think.
Yeah.
And this is real size. That feels about right size.
We've got to make up our mind what that's going to look like.
We'd do the drawings, then we'd make the prototypes, we showed the guy.
I like the old Damascus skill, but I think what you sort of need is a bit of runes on the Damascus.
So that's the one that was on the drawing, and we weren't sure if we liked it too much, so we...
Not sure if I like this.
Take it away, change it, remake the prototype. Or we could alter this one if you want and do something.
Fill that.
Don't you feel as though you're missing something?
Fill that over.
It does feel a bit like a jewels falling out.
We can just smooth that over with a nice curve on the top. It's entirely up to you.
I think I'm feeling that.
Yeah. Then we got it to about 90% finished, and then we decided to throw that prototype out because no one was particularly happy with it. Then we started again.
Yeah, just the nail at the end is looking a bit primitive, isn't it?
Oh, we'll smooth that over and we'll go with that.
You should just feel more ornate. Is it carved?
I sort of know what you mean. I think you just need something at the end there that should be a tad sexier.
And that was an ongoing process for weeks and weeks until we finally sort of got the final thing down about 4 days before we started shooting. Excalibur unscourged. It's a sword. It's a sword that you would use in a battle. It's a sword that feels like a realistic piece of hardware.
I think it's smart that Guy wanted it to actually have a function.
I said both ends, 10 digits, round the blunt bit, give it a tug.
Other than denoting that the carrier of it was the actual king, you know, that was really the only significance of it, where we've been given it a sort of a real tangible power.
First weapon we make of every principle is we usually make it for real. You know, so it's a real metal item, and we'll then mould that to make, you know, the multiple repeats. I think we've made about 40 Excaliburs in total, so 10 of them being metal, 30 of them being, you know, rubber stunt fighting versions. So.
We've got hard rubbers, we've got soft rubbers as well. We've got kind of metal Excaliburs, some of which are sharper and some of which aren't.
Every sword that we make a soft version of it, and a version that someone could roll around the floor on and not get hurt, and a version that you could swing past someone's face safely, and if it was to accidentally hit them, it wouldn't do any damage because it would bend.
The scabbard actually was supposed to have sort of magical powers as well.
I really like the scabbard that we made for it as well, because we deliberately went for a scabbard that was open fronted because the blade was so nice. It's nice to always have it on show. Usually in the scabbard it's hidden away. So we came up with a scabbard with an open front, so when it's on Charlie's back or on his side, you can always see Excalibur.
When he grabs it with both hands,
yeah,
it's a full connection, right? It's fully connected. It burns like it slows, everything slows down.
You know, one of the functions of it is that it can slow down time for the wielder, which is, of course, in a fighting scenario, incredibly useful if you're moving twice as fast as your adversaries.
I think that it's about the circuit of the energy with it. Then
I think it's sort of a beautiful idea that it really only that energetic connection happens when both hands are on the sword.
It's like an electrical
like a current, so you connect it all the way through, then the current goes through the body.
Yeah.
And it's that, and then the visions come with it, and then it's like...
And so that energy will pass through one's body, but if there are energetic blocks caused by emotional trauma, that can block that energy.
It's like hard to hold.
And then we'll see that your arms are starting to now, the smoke's going to start right down.
Both Excalibur type.
Both, yeah, straight.
A little anecdote about Excalibur, one of the cool things about it is usually when you pull a sword out of a scabbard, it doesn't make any noise at all. We put a piece of metal in the scabbard, so as you pull it out, it actually makes that shing noise. According to the mythology, Excalibur had written on it, "Take me up, cast me away." So the set deck department came up with an actual runic language. We then translated that into "Take me up, cast me away," and etched it into the blade as the runes you see on the sword.
To make Excalibur sort of very exciting and have like a tangible use or significance, but also, as all great storytelling is, they gave a beautiful journey for Arthur through the film.
Excalibur's quite a major part of the story, so it's been featured quite heavily, and it's always a pleasure to see a nice glistening close-up of Excalibur.
I like it up there very much. It's hard work, but I like it very much.
We do have in Britain, if you go to remote places, some of the spectacular scenery and spectacular environments.
It's my favorite place in the world, the Highlands. And rain or sunshine, doesn't matter, you know. I just love it up here.
We go up to Scotland, the Highlands of Scotland, which across the world is one of the most dramatic places, I believe, one of the most spectacular landscapes that exist.
It was sort of moody, it was like a little bit of prophetic fallacy going on, like the clouds were over and the hills seemed foreboding and sad and sort of dangerous, and you know, like there was something very melancholic about the whole thing.
Yeah. And action.
That's a foot and a half.
You're 3 foot behind the mark.
I thought it was that rock.
Action.
Charlie, how's that?
I can't remember the last time I didn't have fun on the set.
Go next to Charlie and pretend you're directing him. Where's move out of the way.
Yeah.
Do one of them.
And
Do one of them.
In 2 secs.
Them
Just
ones.
give it. That's it. Give it a bit of. That's it. Give it a bit of. There you go.
So Clark.
You're checking your plums.
So Clark Hall.
Impression of Clark Hall.
Right.
Well, do a bit of directing now. Whisper in his ear, give us some sincere direction. Lovely. And you're looking out at the view this way.
More while you're directing.
It's a sort of organised chaos, those sets, and we're all kids, but we get the job done. Quick stumble, Charlie. Up you get. Up you get. Get moving. There's a big nasty bastard behind you. The thing is you make these films, they go on for months. You want to make sure that you're going to have a good time because life's just too short. So you can dive in that then, you find a dive. Yep.
This is really deep.
Yeah.
You'd be fine to go in from here or in from here. Or just a big Yahoo jump. I'll go for Peter.
Give us all your electronics.
Oh, I know, tense cold. Him and Jackie were very, very good. Now it's getting worse. I'm massively impressed that they jumped in and had to swim without any wetsuits on. That's far tougher than any of us, so we're very impressed.
I don't know, you were counted out from 100.
My process has always been to do a huge amount of research and preparation, but I've had to be much more free in this process and much more open and malleable.
Some sort of like one of them.
I don't know.
Charlie, he was a great collaborator, and it was an enormous amount of fun to make a film with him.
Settle, 3, 2, 1, and action, Charlie.
Cuttage!
Is that exciting?
Cut there.
Did you pop one?
Ditto. Dansky.
Lovely.
Good shot.
Got it.
Moving on. Group photo. It's coming from. I'm just gonna. That's me done with.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't want to do it in front of everyone. No, I'll start crying.
Any parting thoughts about this gentleman?
Seriously.
Get your phone out.
You put him on the spot, but I mean, carry on.
Carry on.
If you
but
want
now
to.
you're on the spot.
We said our goodbyes already.
I like Merck and Randall. He likes Merck and Randall.
We're just going to snow a bit.
You don't want to.
Hey,
Charlie, do you want me to?
Yeah, would you reholster?
Reholster.
Yeah, reholster it, mate. I'll get something right.
After 3, 1, 2, 3, 4! Thank you very much.